following program is for training purposes and TV news education. Some copyrighted material is used and is credited on screen. However, no more was taken than was necessary to tell the story of the event. YBA claims fair use of materials.
See, John Lester has never been a strikeout pitcher, which is why I don't think he will succeed as a #1 guy in the Red Sox organization. Last year he had a 4.82 ERA. That's not an ace. Those are not ace numbers. If you're giving up averaging 5 runs a game, that's not an ace.
I don't think you can say, all right, no one on the Red Sox pitching staff last year was going to be an ace.
Okay.
Or should it? Yeah. The numbers last year, I think we need to look at last year, take those numbers, throw them out the window. Because
see, I don't think you can do that. I don't think there's ever a situation where you can just throw numbers out the window.
I think last year's team, I don't want to put it all on Bobby Valentine. There was injuries. Who knows what else was going on there? But I want to just put an X. I want to forget that happened. Because this team was so bad last year. They had 69 wins.
But you look at guys who have been on the team like John Lester, they can't forget how to pitch. He's been pitching in the MLB. He doesn't just forget how to pitch for a year.
That's true. You know, we don't know what happened. I mean, we don't. Maybe he got away from what he was normally doing. Maybe Bobby Valentine wanted some new do some new things. Farrell knows what Lester can do. He knows how to get Lester to succeed. This is a new team. It's a new page, a new chapter. This team can be successful. They've shown it through the first week of the season. And with John Lester at the helm of your pitching staff, he can be. I mean, maybe Josh Beckett was not your best influence on these guys. He was kind of who knows what Josh Beckett was doing last year. And I think that trickled down and they stopped caring. And I think you see these guys carrying them, hustling on the base pass, going trying to get that extra base, hustling for that ball in the outfield. So I like this team now. I want to forget about last year and just move forward, even though you can't forget about last year because you don't want to have another last year. But
yeah,
that's true.
And what the Red Sox, I think, really needed was a leader, and they needed some of the veterans to step up, like Lester, even guys who had been there before, like Ellsbury and Pedroia. We saw yesterday, despite the Red Sox losing, Pedroia didn't give up, had a slow grounder to third base, and he ran it out and was safe to first in the top half of the ninth. And Ellsbury had a good game today, so these guys are stepping up. Younger guys like Will Middlebrooks are taking that message. He was 4 for 5 today, 3 home runs, as TJ mentioned earlier. So I think everyone's getting the message that John Farrell and some of the veterans are sending that we want to do well. You know, last year was a bad season, but we're going to put that behind us, and we're going to try to have a good season this year.
As of tomorrow, the Boston Red Sox go on a 7-game homestand. They'll be facing Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Baltimore's certainly been competitors this year as they've had key players such as Chris Davis emerge with his outstanding power so far this year. And Tampa Bay always a threat with their balanced pitching and offense and defense. Guys, what are your division predictions for this year?
First off, I think this division is wide open right now. With the Blue Jays playing bad, no one thought that was going to happen. Orioles playing good, people thought they were going to drop off. Yeah. And Tampa Bay's playing middle of the road. Sox are playing good. Yankees aren't playing so good. So I think this is wide open right now, but right now I think Tampa Bay is your #1 team. That pitching staff is fantastic. I believe the better your pitching staff, the better your team will be. So I have Tampa Bay #1, Baltimore #2 with Chris Davis right now. That guy's absolutely crushing the ball.
Yeah.
Sox at #3, they're crushing the ball. Will Middlebrooks is 4 for 5. Lester, as we've been talking about. Blue Jays at #4. We'll see what happens there. It didn't work in Miami, so who says it's going to work in Toronto? But then again, they have so much talent there. Jose Bautista has been playing.
Yep.
They could easily surpass the Red Sox, Baltimore, and maybe even Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So they could jump all the way to 1. That could change. And Yankees 5, there's no one there right now. They're all hurt. They're just not looking good. Their pitching staff's old. It's battled down. I think they're going to stay. That's the one team I think you can pencil in at the bottom of the bottom of the division right now.
See, I definitely agree with you that this division is wide open. I think the Rays will definitely be a #1 team. They're the only team who has everything together right now. They did get rid of James Shields in the offseason, which could come out.
Will Myers, though, I think is a player to watch out for.
He definitely is, the outfielder. He certainly could emerge with maybe some injuries or some opportunities arising in that outfield. However, I think the Rays will be #1. From there, it's totally a toss-up. You have the Blue Jays who have these studs, just a crazy lineup, crazy pitching rotation, very good team. However, can they mesh? That's what you're looking. If they do mesh, they're going to finish number 2. They're going to get a wild card. Baltimore Orioles and the Red Sox will be, and the Yankees will be struggling for a 3 spot because the Orioles are sort of a team that is on the rise right now. They have young pitchers, Wei-Yin Chen, Jason Hamill, Jake Arrieta. They have young pitchers who can, they have a very young team right now. And they're not going to become a World Series threat because they're such a young team, but that will definitely give them options as to what they want to do in the future. The Yankees, for the first half of the season, they'll be a bottom 5. They'll be the worst team in that division. However, there are injuries on that team. Once the people who are injured are healthy again, the Yankees could compete for a number 3 spot. TK?
Seriously, I hate having the same opinions about things as other people, but I have to agree.
Good minds think alike.
Yeah, but this division is definitely wide open. You have the injury-prone Yankees, the disappointment of the Toronto Blue Jays, the Red Sox, who are having a much better start to the season as they did last year, and the Baltimore Orioles not falling, and you have the well-balanced Tampa Bay Rays. So I think this division is really anyone's at this point.
Yeah, I like Baltimore to actually win this division. As I mentioned before, with steroids out of the game, young players are going to do better. Their starting pitching isn't that great.
Wait, you're saying steroids are complete? Well, I'm not going to get into this
well,
now. But he's saying steroids are 100% out of the game?
Not 100%, but compared to what they were in 2000, they are mostly out of the game. Of course, we had Melky Cabrera last season, but the starting pitchers, they do struggle a little bit. But Jim Johnson, they have a closer, and they have a good bullpen. As for Tampa Bay, I think they're going to finish second. Losing B.J. Upton was a big loss, I think, and they also lost James Shields, who really was their second man. David Price struggled today, I believe. It's against Cleveland, so Terry Francona is there. I like the Red Sox to finish third. Definitely could be a 500 team, give or take 5 or 10 games. They are going to work together as a team, but I'm just not sure they have enough star power now to compete with Baltimore and Tampa Bay. I like Toronto to finish fourth. We saw this happen with the Red Sox when they brought in Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford down the drain. Well. Same thing with the Marlins. And the Mets didn't do well with Jose Reyes, and the Blue Jays are struggling with Jose Reyes. So if you're a GM, don't pick up Jose Reyes. And the Yankees, I think, are too old and too injured. I just don't see how they can compete with these younger guys from Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Boston, and even Toronto.
See, I do like Baltimore. I agree with him. I think Baltimore is definitely a team on the rise. But, Jason, I don't think Baltimore's talent is that good. They could have a breakout year. You never know. Breakout years are always prone to happen in the MLB. And if that happens, Baltimore could be a serious threat this year.
And I think the other thing to watch out or look for in Baltimore that they have that's going to help them is Buck Showalter. I think he's a good manager. He's been around the game. He knows how to manage these guys. They've seemed to bought into his system. Yeah. So I think Baltimore's definitely going to be up there. I don't see them dropping off. I think if they were to drop off, we'd see it in the first week of the season. Mm-hmm. And I think that they've come out really strong in this first week. So with them, keep doing what they are doing. They'll be in the mix there for those kind of 3-4 spots right there in the AL East. Yeah, and they're a young team. If you look at their core players, their best players, they're all under 30 years old. Right. Chris Davis, Adam Jones, Matt Wieters, Wei-Yin Chen. These guys haven't hit their peak performances yet, which they definitely can do. Yeah. So yeah, Baltimore, and then I don't want to overlook the Blue Jays either. I know Jose Reyes, as he mentioned, who knows what he's gonna do. Yeah. But I think that Miguel Cabrera did at steroids. He had steroids last year, but Melky, sorry. But he still, I think, is a good addition to this team. Didn't look good today, but he can still hit the ball pretty well, and they have a lot of talent. I mean, when Josh Johnson's your number 3 pitcher, that's a pretty good pitching staff. Yeah, and you brought up a good point, John, earlier about Jose Bautista being injured. He really is the number 1 guy, I think, still, even though they added Jose Reyes. I still think that I still think Bautista is the number 1 man in Toronto. So earlier today, we had a chance to talk with Chris Conte, who works
who has ran the Boston Marathon before, which is a week from tomorrow, and he works for a news station in Nashville, Tennessee, CBS Nashville. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm TJ Horgan here with John Hand, and right now we are live with Chris Conte, a Boston University graduate and currently a reporter for CBS's Nashville affiliate. Chris, thanks for being here.
Hey, no problem. What's going on, guys?
Nothing much. Now, my first question for you is, as the speed and access to media is facilitated by social networking, how do you adjust your stories so that you're not re-reporting on something that's already been headlined in 140 characters?
You know, I think that we have come to the realization that by the time people turn on the news at 5 or 6 o'clock, more than likely, they know the story. If it's a big story, they know that it's going on and they know that it's happened and they know the basic facts. And so you go into it just knowing that you got to show them something different or give them some information that, you know, they probably wouldn't be able to find online somewhere. Or in our case, show them pictures or let them listen to sound that, you know, that you just don't get the same emotion out of just reading a headline on a web article or something of that sort. But, you know, I think there are certain situations too where you got to figure out if you can hold things or not. I mean, you know, if we have like an exclusive, you know, you don't want to just go blasting it out on Twitter at 1 in the afternoon before it goes on at 6 o'clock, because then your competitors are going to get it. So it's really an interesting kind of give and take game with, you know, when do you decide to share stuff and when do you decide not to?
Chris, John Hand here. I know you've done some crazy stories like chasing tornadoes and stuff like that, but what has been the most interesting story you have done?
Interesting? I would say, well, we did one the other day about a goat that was screaming, and some neighbors thought that it was a person screaming for help because they were being killed. And so they called 911 and we went over there and did a story about it. That was pretty interesting. You get some interesting characters in the South. It's always something.
Chris, when you won an Emmy in 2011, how did that shift your goals as a reporter?
You know, it didn't really. It just kind of reaffirmed that that I was doing something that I love, and it just kind of gives you a little bit something to stand on and say, all right, I'm doing the right thing. I think the goal is always to go out and tell good stories that people will care about and that they'll want to watch. You know, and I don't think I don't think winning something like that changes anything. It's just, you just keep doing it because that's what works. So.
Chris, you've won the Emmy, as TJ just mentioned. You've climbed 3 markets in the past 4 years. What is the secret to your success?
Writing. You know, my boss who hired me here, I think, will tell you that, you know, I'm probably a little young in terms of the people they hire here, but she will tell you that she hired me because I am a good writer, and she knows that I know how to write, and that stands out from a lot of other people, you know, that either are here or at other stations. And I think that's probably, at most of the places all the places I've been, my news directors will tell you that that's probably one of the bigger reasons they've hired me. It's because they see something in my writing that they don't get, I guess, with a lot of other people.